Note by the channeler, the YouTube voice actress for Tunia, Kim Secord, has recently passed away. My condolences to her family. Thank you, Kim, for your diligent work, for your clear recordings, for your optimism, for your service and for your bright soul.
My dearest brothers and sisters. This is Tunia speaking. I love you so very much. There are famous Ra channelings, called the Law of One or the Ra material. In it, a distinction is made between the service to self path and the service to others path. The service to self path basically means being evil, and the service to self path basically means being good. However, it is pointed out that both paths are valid from a high enough perspective. After all roads lead back to source, and ultimately we're reincarnating immortal souls. So the true us isn't being harmed if some service to self person harms our lower self. Now, higher perspectives should not invalidate lower perspectives. So while on one hand it is good to acknowledge that the service to self path is valid, it is also perfectly understandable to not like people who are doing horrendous harm, and want to see them stopped. Both perspectives have merit. I think all of this makes sense, except that I don't like the term service to others. And that is the new information I wish to contribute today. First, service to others makes it sound like sacrificing yourself for the benefit of others is the right thing to do. It's really not. Putting yourself below others, or assigning less value to yourself than you assign to others, isn't unity consciousness. The proper thing to do is to actually serve yourself a bit, in a non-destructive way, and to serve others a bit. Because after all, you can't give from an empty cup. And second, it's sort of separation consciousness to label people who aren't you as others. From a unity consciousness perspective, those so-called others are in fact a part of you. They're not really other. So personally I would name the good path as the service to all path, because then the self is included. And the evil path is still the service to self path. Or alternatively, one could call the good path the unity path and call the evil path the separation path. And walking those paths reinforce either unity consciousness or separation consciousness. This reflects that good people often see others as part of themselves to a degree, and so are motivated to help them in the same way that you are motivated to help your own arm if it is wounded. So a person on the unity path might help others just because those others are part of them. And that is perfectly fine. Meanwhile, evil people often see themselves as completely separate from others, which means that harming others isn't a big deal, and furthermore you can't rely on others, which means that you are the only one who can make sure that you are okay. Hence, stepping over other people to get what you want is the proper thing to do. Another benefit is that this correctly indicates that the separation path is actually harder and more painful in the medium term than the unity path is. So in summary, I personally prefer talking about either service to all versus service to self, or talking about the unity path versus the separation path. What do you think? Or do you have suggestions for other names? Feel free to leave comments. I would love to read your thoughts. With all my love. Your star sister, Tunia.